New computer, who dis? Hey there, everyone. I do not have a new computer, but I just wanted to talk about the new computers that Apple just released because it's just really, really cool. So I'm not sure if anyone saw on Monday, they showcased some of their new computers, and I want to talk about them because I have an older Mac computer from 2016, and there's a lot of changes now, and they're just wow. It's like I really want to get a new one, but it's just so expensive. And even if I trade in my current one, which when you trade it in, you have to trade it in prior to you buying a new one if you want the credit, and it's kind of like I don't want to do that because I need a computer, and if I want to get a new one, I got to transfer all the stuff over. I got to make sure it works and everything, so it's kind of like no. But anyway, so I have a Mac computer from 2016. Mac computers, for the price that they are compared to the actual, hardware, the specs, it's very, very, very expensive and overvalued for the most part, but you're paying for the quality of the product. The actual build quality and the fact that Apple creates the hardware and they create the software. So if there's any sort of issue with the hardware of the computer, Apple, will release an update and then it fixes it. Whereas on Windows, you have many, many different manufacturers and companies and hardwares and drivers, and sometimes things work, sometimes things don't work, or sometimes Windows can push out an update and break everything. It's just a lot of different things there. So the only major thing that I have with my computer that's an issue is the keyboard. Like if I press certain keys, it'll double, quadruple button press, especially like some of like E and I's and everything. It'll be like, if I say, hey, it'll go H-E-E-E-E-E-Y. I'm like, okay, that's really, really good. But anyway, so I have a MacBook Pro computer from 2016. It has, let me see the specs actually. It has an Intel 2.9 gigahertz quad-core i7 processor, and then the integrated graphics 1.5 gigabytes, and then also I know it has some other things too. Oh yeah. And then it has the external one, which is the Radeon Pro 460 dedicated discrete graphics card. So Apple's new computers, that was the only type of hardware inside the computer that they didn't really create themselves. Intel, and they have AMD for the processors. They didn't create those. They are using other companies to create the hardware, and then essentially just modifying it a bit to work with the Mac. Okay. They have come out since last year with their own processor called M1, the Apple M1 processor, which is said to be far superior to the Intel processors, and it uses so much less power. And as a result, it also acts as a graphics card as well. So you don't need a graphics card and you don't need the Intel processors. You just have the M1 chip. Well, they just released their MacBook Pro computers with the M1 Pro and the M1 Max. And I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. So you have a Mac Pro with the M1 Max processor in it, and you look at some of the performance specs, you can get so much better performance for like less than half of the energy consumption. And I'm like, whoa, that's insane. And you don't have a discrete graphics card. It's all done on the processor because it's CPU and GPU all in one. And it's like, oh my gosh, that is just amazing. Because the problem that I have with my computer from time to time, I'll boot up something, I will load something, and if anything uses the graphics card, which is like any sort of video editing, image editing, certain programs, when you open it up, it'll switch over to the graphics card, and then you just hear the fan kick in, the fan's running the whole time. It's so obnoxious. But many people have done tests with the old M1 processor from last year. Well, not old, the first generation one, when they first came out last year in the MacBook computers, the standard MacBook computers, not the MacBook Pro, which is coming out very, very soon. It's going to be a ship soon or something. people were playing back and rendering 4K videos, and it was not even using 100% CPU or GPU, and the fans were silent. The fans were silent, and it rendered it so fast, and it weren't even plugged into a battery at all. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, really? I'll be rendering a video here. It will take like a half hour long for like maybe like a 8-minute video. And the fans are running. The temperature on the computer is like 150 degrees. It's like, oh my gosh, it's so loud. It's so obnoxious. I can't do anything on the computer because if I try to like browse the internet or do something else, it's just so incredibly slow. So I'll be like, oh my gosh, if I had that processor, I could just do so many different things while I'm rendering, and the render was so be so quick, and I don't even have to have it plugged in. So I'm just like really impressed with that, and that's just the standard M1 processor. That is not the Pro or the Max. I can't wait to see the benchmarks on those. But also what's really nice is I have the first Mac Pro with, it has a touch bar where you can, it's like a little strip at the top that is actually interactive. So you want to turn volume up and down, you put your finger on it, you can slide it left and right. You can do various things with that, brightness. I use that, but apparently they removed it because it wasn't all that popular. So it's kind of like, it may take some time getting used to that, you know, if I get a new computer, which won't be any time soon, because I don't really want to spend that money for it for right now, because it's very expensive, especially with the specs that I want to get. It's like $4,000, which is not quite double, but actually I think my current laptop was maybe like $3,000. I forget, but anyway, I don't plan on getting that anytime soon. Not right now, especially because it is new hardware. I like to wait a bit. Especially when you have all this software. It needs to be configured to run well on the M1 processors and everything. Okay. But also, it's just, I forget what, oh yeah, it has the touch bar, and it also has only 4 USB-C ports. You use those for charging, you use those for anything else, and you need a stupid little adapter. Let me show you this little adapter that you need for just standard USB things, right here. So this is the USB-C port right here, and then you plug in your standard USB thing. It's so annoying. It really is so annoying. And that's what the new MacBook Pros have, but they also have an SD card reader, which I put SD cards in, so I can just natively just do that. It has an HDMI port, and I can just do that without using my adapter for that. I have an adapter that goes from HDMI to USB-C, and they also have the older charging, which is like, it's called like MagSafe or something. I never had a Mac computer that had that charging thing, because this was my first laptop from 2016. That was all USB-C. So I don't actually have the MagSafe thing, but apparently that charges much better, and it's a little bit more secure because it's like a little magnetic thing. So if you like walk past it and you like, someone like trips over it, it'll just come right out, and it won't break inside the computer, you know? Like sometimes I worry about this, like breaking inside the computer, but I'm just really impressed with the processor and all that sort of stuff. I really want to see the benchmarks. And then maybe once the next generation comes out, maybe then I'll think about purchasing that computer. But I always like to give it like one whole generation, because it's like, you don't know how these new specs are going to be. You don't know if there's going to be feedback that people are going to be like, okay, let's improve upon this. Like when I got my current Mac Pro computer, MacBook Pro rather, not Mac Pro, which is their desktop, but who knows? I want to see what their desktop is going to be like. But anyway, so when I got this computer, the touch bar was new, all these USB-C ports were new, and you see how they improved upon that to make it, you know, not have those things, because they realized, oh, there were some problems with this. There really were. So I'm really curious to see the benchmarks when people actually get the laptop. I think it's like coming out like next week. So yep, really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. So then I think the price of the Mac will actually be worth it. I think with the Intel CPUs and the AMD graphics cards, I don't think that they were really worth it, but now with the processor, oh, I think it's definitely much more worth it now. So that is it. So you all take care, have a great one. Let me know what your thoughts are on this, and you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.